further evidence via a poll of the British public turning against the BBC licence fee. A licence fee, I would argue, is hopelessly outdated, especially in this day and age with channels like Westminster here on YouTube. And guys, I'm going to get into all the very latest on this story, but please support this channel by subscribing, hitting that notification bell, hit the join button if you want to be a supporter, and also just share this video far and wide because it's so exciting what we can do here on YouTube on these stories because of your support. So do spread this video far and wide. Now we'll start off with this Express. Before I get to a poll in a bit, I just want to start off with this Express story just to give you some context as to where we are. Now you may not hear this on mainstream media in terms of broadcast TV, but this is what is going on. The Express, BBC struggles with huge backlog of customers cancelling £157.50 TV licence fee. The BBC, this is the Express report, the BBC has been criticised after some customers struggled to cancel their licence fees due to the broadcaster taking more calls than usual. A BBC spokesperson telling express.co.uk, we have more calls than usual at the moment and they are taking longer to answer as we operate in accordance with COVID-19 government guidelines. We're sorry for any inconvenience that may have caused. Customers are able to cancel their licence over the phone. There certainly seems to be a flurry of activity. Now let's just look, because one of the arguments, most ridiculous, delusional arguments that we get from some journalists, overwhelmingly Remainers who are left-wing, because the BBC fits in line with much of their values. If you look at one of the arguments that they make is that the BBC is somehow beloved. Well, let's just look at reality of what is going on. There was a very interesting report from the Reuters Institute, the Digital News Report 2020. Now, this report got glossed over in the most ridiculous way. But one of the findings it found in here is that amongst the report broke down people into either being classing themselves, I guess, as centrist, partisan, or more partisan, which is sort of kind of meaningless, a ridiculous way to have done it, but hey ho, that's what they've done. What they found is, among those who class themselves or are classed as more partisan, trust in the BBC among the most partisan groups has fallen by 20 percentage points since 2018. In 2 years, they've gone down 20 percentage points with some people. That's 10 points per year. That is a collapse. Now, when you look further at this report, as I said, they class people as either centrist, partisan, or more partisan. Trust in the BBC falls across the board. Falls by either 9 points, 8 points, or 20 points. Look, I think actually the reality is trust in the BBC has fallen even further than that polling suggests. But it shows you that right across the board, trust in the BBC in Britain is falling. Anyone that argues against that or argues otherwise is arguing against the evidence and the research that is out there. Let's establish that point first. Look at another poll that's just come out. The Sun reporting almost 2/3 of Brits now say the licence fee must be reformed, and a third say the cash is spent unreasonably. Devastating new polling shows. In a major blow to BBC bosses who are fighting to protect their funding, 1 in 6 say they never watch the B despite being made to pay for it, and only a quarter say they watch the BBC every day. The polling commissioned by campaigners Defund the BBC, and by the way, you only have to look at how quickly that campaign has grown, the momentum that it's managed to build up, to show there's a massive upswell of public opinion behind the cause to scrap the BBC licence fee. The poll conducted by Comres interviewed 2,274 UK adults aged 18 plus between the 16th and 19th of October, so a very, very recent poll, and some devastating numbers there. Now, Defund the BBC's campaign chief Rebecca Ryan telling The Sun, this poll clearly demonstrates that the British public is overwhelmingly opposed to the licence fee in its current form. There are rightly serious concerns over the way the licence fee is spent, particularly given the eye-watering sums paid to certain BBC presenters. She added, it is also extremely worrying that the BBC has alienated such huge swathes of British people who do not think it represents their values. Decriminalising the licence fee is just the first step to radical reform. The next move is to ensure the licence fee only covers BBC output. Now, BBC spokesman hitting back in that story saying, we know from wide-ranging research that 91% of UK adults use BBC television, radio or online every week, and surveys consistently show that the licence fee is the public's preferred way of funding the BBC. That model is in place until at least 20 2027. Fascinated to know. Give me a number below, guys. What percentage of people in this country do you think, if they had an option not to pay for the BBC and not to receive BBC services, would actually pay? I think the BBC, some of the people that work at BBC would be shocked at how low that number would be. The Sun, with an editorial saying a poll revealed by the Sun today proves what we've suspected for a while. The BBC is in deep, deep trouble. Almost 2 in 3 Brits say the TV licence must be reformed. A third say the cash is spent unreasonably. And 1 in 6 say they never even watch the Beeb. And guys, let me know in the comments. We've asked this before, but let me know in the comments. Do you use BBC services? Do you watch mainstream media now? Or are you just getting your content here on YouTube? Interested to hear from you. It's time Parliament listen to them, say the Sun. Decriminalising non-payment of the fee will be a start, but the government should go further and revive its plan to fund the service with a subscription model. Media lovies squeal at the thought. They think that scrapping the licence fee would kill the Beeb off. Though, of course, by the way, what a contradiction that is. On the one hand, these people tell us how great the BBC is, and on the other hand, seem incredibly nervous about how many people would actually readily pay for it if they didn't have to. But they're wrong. The Sun saying a subscription model, which ordinary voters beyond London would have more stake than ever in what shows they watch, would give tired old auntie a new lease of life. The BBC will always be a beloved British institution. That's the Sun's outlook on it. I actually don't think that's the case. The BBC seem to be experts at battening down the hatches, rejecting all criticism, and seem to want to cling on to the BBC licence fee, the compulsory licence fee, for as long as they possibly can, which is just simply going to build up resentment and simply turn more people off BBC completely. Telegraph with another story saying nearly 2 of 3 Brits believe the current BBC licence fee should be scrapped. A major poll has found as leading Tory MPs call for a root and branch review of the corporation's funding. 59% of Brits, they report, say the TV licence cannot continue in its current form. 59%, very, very high. According to the survey of 2,274 people, it gives a 2-to-1 majority in favour of reform, with just 32% of people back in the status quo. 32%, around a third, a little less than a third of Brits back in the status quo. And I would love to see the breakdown, by the way, because I bet that a lot of that is backed on whether you're a Labour or Lib Dem voter / voted Remain in the EU referendum. Now, 43% in the Telegraph story, 43% in the poll felt the BBC did not reflect British values. I mean, when you're having to do a U-turn about patriotic lyrics at the proms, I mean, for goodness sake, shows you the extent to which they've lost the plot. Former Conservative leader Ian Duncan Smith saying public opinion on the BBC is clearly moving, and that means it's time for a root and branch review of whether or not the public want a fully funded public broadcaster, and if so, what functions that broadcaster should fulfil. Conservative MP Lee Anderson tore up his licence fee at the weekend, saying that he was no longer prepared to pay another penny to the BBC. And he said he doesn't know what they're playing at. Let me tell you, people are switching off in their droves. Conservative MP Andrew Lewer with a piece in the Express as well. The current system cannot last. From swelling public opinion against the licence fee to increasing media coverage of BBC gaffes and de facto political statements, the BBC is struggling to justify its legally protected position to broad swathes of the British public. And he calls decriminalisation just the first step and must be followed up by moves to make the licence cover BBC output only, so that discriminatory prosecution doesn't just move to bailiffs and CCJs for the most vulnerable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of these issues that it comes down to really how radical are the government willing to be. You know, the year is 2020. The idea that people should have to pay for the BBC is complete and utter nonsense. As I've demonstrated, trust and faith in the BBC is completely collapsing. But let's look at who the next BBC chairman's going to be, because of course at one stage it was said to be Lord Moore, Charles Moore, who's actually criticised the licence fee, criticised BBC bias, actually on BBC airwaves, no less. And yet now is not the front runner. Will we see a radical appointment to that role of BBC chairman, or are we just going to see someone who simply wants to maintain pretty much the status quo or something similar to the status quo, in which case I imagine the defund the BBC campaign will build up even more momentum. I simply do not think in the long term the BBC licence fee can be sustained. People have alternatives now. They're looking for alternatives. Westminster, of course, being one of them. And I do thank you again for watching, and those who have become supporters. Click join if you want to support this channel, guys. I keep bringing you all the very latest on the stories that I know you guys care about and that you don't see the coverage elsewhere, that simply aren't talked about as much in mainstream media as they should be. As ever, guys, thank you very much for watching.